This one caught my interest, so we're gonna watch it. I just found this interesting. I haven't seen anything like this before, but Legendary Drops. Though this channel does seem familiar. I may have seen one or two videos from this guy. Let's just see, I guess.
I don't think we've seen anything like this before. We have a studio that is essentially headed into oncoming traffic. They've turned around and they're headed back in the direction of the players. They've been criticized by the media. They've been dismissed by their peers.
Interesting. I haven't heard of this. Interesting, though. Usually, is he saying that they shifted from, like, this greed plus DEI thing more back into, like, for the players?
All because they took a stance saying that they don't believe that social or political messaging should influence game design.
It is. Maybe not the greed part, but that is the case. That's interesting. Who is this company? Whose game do I need to buy?
Imagine that being controversial. Imagine siding with the players being controversial. Take it a step further. I was approached by this studio to make a video under the condition that
But isn't this normally the fault? People being like, our game failed, and that's because of these bigoted players. It's like, no, your game's just ass. Your game reeks of political messaging. I just want to have fun, thank you.
There are no restrictions. Make the videos that you like to make. It's for the best. So this video is sponsored by Lords of the Fallen with no red tape, no censorship.
Lords of the Fallen. Wasn't that a game that was kind of like a Souls-like, then had like a lot of problems? I've never played it. Did they fix this? Is this a No Man's Sky situation?
The only thing that they asked is that I talk about their 2.0 update and how much the game has improved. Joke's on them. I would have talked about it anyway. It's really impressive what they've done. But this is how you reach players. Transparency. They understand that. This game has gone through hell and back. It had a failed start, gone through multiple studios, gone through a reboot that didn't really...
So is the Souls-like that kind of failed? Okay, that's interesting. Never expected something like that to happen.
...land all that well right when it first came out, but now it's transformed into one hell of a comeback story. They are allowing you to be able to invite your friend to play the game for free.
What? Dude! That's crazy! That's like, what was it? I forgot the game name. Maybe he brings it up.
Seamless co-op progression, friend plays for free.
Which game was that? It Takes Two? I think It Takes Two does that as well.
It's like It Takes Two or Split Fiction. I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe right now. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about Lords of the Fallen. I want to talk about how they've taken a stance against the direction that this industry has been headed in. I want to talk about all the improvements they've made with their game, with their 2.0 update. And I also want to talk about the interview that I had with their CEO about how they're putting players first. The world is healing.
We got a base CEO? The world might in fact be healing. We got a base CEO.
Lords of the Fallen is a bit of an odd beast. The original game came out in 2014 under a studio named Deck 13. It had promise, great art direction, a strong premise, but it had a lot of issues. It didn't really understand what it was like to be a Souls-like game, and as such, it never really found an audience. Then came the sequel. The IP was then passed around a few different times through a few different studios. The project was shut down a handful of times before CI Games just said screw it and founded an entirely new studio called Hexworks to try again from the ground up. And what they made in 2023 was a...
You don't really see that. That is very interesting. Like I said, the only case where I know where a game was ass on release, and with that game I mean No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky dropped in such a shitty state. Like, it was... They were mopping the floor with this game, but then they just said... They just pulled up their balls, clenched their asshole, and said, yup, we're gonna fix this mess. And they did. No Man's Sky has become such a good game. And you know what the best part is? All of these fixes were free updates. And that game is thriving.
A massive improvement. The now rebooted Lords of the Fallen under the same name looked beautiful. The art direction was incredible. Seriously, I love the way that this world looks. The Umbral Realm concept.
And here they're doing it the exact same. Normally when that happens, you release a game, So how this currently happens is, which is one of the major problems which why games fail, thanks to like the internet. Someone releases a game in an unfinished state because you can patch things later. Game releases. Reception is not good. Nobody buys the game because the game is dog shit. It runs badly, whatever it may be. And then okay, done. Move on to the next game. Doesn't matter. And here it's like, and like people are like, yeah, I wish we could go back to the old days where you got like a finished game and it was done. You could nothing do anymore. That's what you had to do. And I'm like, I think we should go back to the days where games were finished on release. You removed as many bugs as you could. And then when you release it and some major bugs pop up, you fix those. But usually it's like they release a game is partially unfinished, they drop it, done, next game. In these two cases, they apparently fixed the games.
What's genuinely unique, shifting between realms depending on the situation, serving as both a combat mechanic and an exploration tool, the game finally had something resembling its own voice. But that voice was buried under some serious performance issues, bugs, balance problems, issues with combat and exploration. It reviewed decently with a 73 on OpenCritic, but it didn't really land. It was one of those hot and cold games where some people really liked it for what it was and other people didn't want to have anything to do with it. The kind of game that you'll hear about for a week before it vanishes from conversation, especially given the fact that it launched near some pretty steep competition in Lies of P just the month before it. In most cases, hell, 9
I heard a lot of people didn't like Lies of P as much. As far as I'm aware, a lot of people didn't like it as much.
times out of 10, any studio would have taken the loss. They would have fixed a few bugs and then begun work on their next title. But Hexworks and CI Games did the opposite. They dug in. Over the past 2 years, they have shipped more than 50 updates, all of them completely free. They've reworked performance, revamped the controls, they fixed bugs, improved stability, added build variety, and listened to very specific criticisms from the community. Things like stamina balancing, boss scaling, mob density, co-op stability. It's rare to see a developer actually chip away at a game like this, not for press, not for hype, not for anything other than just wanting to make the game better.
This sounds like a passion project for real. This does sound like you want the game to succeed. So you do whatever you can to make it succeed.
Better for the people that bought it and for fans in the future. They actively were listening to feedback the entire time, making improvements and getting no recognition for it. Well, I shouldn't say no recognition because the game has consistently climbed from mixed reviews up to mostly positive, but after this next update, I wouldn't be surprised if this game's going to climb even higher. Lords of the Fallen has released their 2.0 update, and with it, everything has come together. This isn't just another patch, it's a full overhaul. Combat responsiveness has been tightened, feeling much smoother than before. They've added unique sound and better sound to every single weapon attack, block.
I wonder if I would like the combat here more. For all the games, Souls-like games that I've played, and I've never properly fully played Elden Ring. I did play it when I was with somebody else, and like I did play a bit. It did feel a bit clunky to me. Not to shit on Elden Ring, amazing game. Before you come after me, amazing game. But I feel like if I play a game like that, I kind of don't want to fight the boss and the controls. I wonder if this game is different.
Blocks and even parries, giving combat that heft that it was missing. Movement is faster, dodging is cleaner. They added a dedicated jump button for smoother platforming. The lock-on feature is more intuitive now. You're not getting stuck on environmental objects anymore. Heck, they've even gone as far as adding a new guidance mechanic for the...
Wait, they released this game with no jump button? I do not understand a game where you can get stuck on objects and you cannot jump. I do not understand that. If there's a game where that happens, I feel like no game nowadays should be without a jump button if it's not specifically designed to not need a jump button.
The umbral lamp that allows you to navigate yourself when lost. I mean, they have quite literally attacked every single major criticism of this game here. Visually, the game is even sharper. They've revamped their UI, they've improved their character creator, allowing for more masculine and feminine character designs.
Ooh. Ooh. Well, this isn't. That's probably, you can probably make even more masculine or feminine characters. However, that is probably pretty good.
As requested by their audience. And honestly, I still think this is probably one of the best uses of Unreal Engine 5 to date. From the texture detail to the lighting to the fact that the entire game, though linear, renders the entire world all at the same time, it's gorgeous. But here's where things get really interesting. They have added a genre-first system, which they're calling the Free Friends Pass. You can now invite a friend who doesn't own the game to come and play the entire thing with you co-op. No trial, no demo, the full game. You can play together. You all get to keep your loot and character progression.
Ooh, that is actually crazy. You play together, you can play together for free, and you can literally, with a friend, and they keep the stuff. That's crazy.
And eventually, if they want to pick up the game for themselves, well, they can pick up right where they left off.
What the fuck? This sounds goated as hell. You can play with somebody for free, and if you want to get the game yourself, you can literally pick up where you started. You can literally have the game. Somebody else can have the game. I can join from start to finish, and I don't have to get the game myself. If I want to get the game myself, I can literally get the game and continue where I ended off. Where I stopped. That is crazy.
Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I skipped this game at launch. I had watched a few reviews, I saw the performance issues, I'd heard the complaints about map design, the combat. I watched Asmongold pull out what was left of his hair while he was being overwhelmed by too many enemies, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I was still working in construction at the time, didn't really have a lot of hours to burn, so I figured I would circle back to it if things ever got fixed. And they did. And more. A lot more. I've been playing it, and while Lords of the Fallen still has some rough edges, the narrative is relatively thin and not particularly well delivered. You still come across some random visual bugs here or there, like my cloak breakdancing around my neck. Enemy telegraphs can be a little inconsistent. Boss fights don't always deliver the impact that you feel like they should. Some of them definitely do. But there is something incredibly charming about playing this game. It's like they accidentally created their own sub-flavor of the Souls genre. Something faster, more consumable, less punishing, but still engaging, leaning much harder into the fun of these games rather than the difficulty, though the game isn't without challenge. Lords of the Fallen doesn't really ask for your full emotional or...
So it's like, a faster, because it does look similar, a little similar to it's practically a faster, less clunky Elden Ring. In a way. Not sure if there's any difference with the new version. Apparently there is. They fixed the entire game. Apparently. The entire game. Like 50 updates for free. This seems interesting.
Or mental investment to play a game like this, or at least like a lot of other Souls-like games do. You're not constantly on edge or feeling drained after every fight. There is a much lower mental barrier to entry here. Something you can actually relax into while getting your Souls-like fix. There is something incredibly satisfying about shredding through a game like this, and even when I do hit a tough boss or a challenging section of enemies, I never feel stuck. I overcome it after a couple of tries, and I move on. It's kind of nice to play a game like this that doesn't make me want to throw my controller through the wall. They didn't make the perfect game, but they've made something interesting, and more importantly, they never stopped trying to make it better. In a time that so many studios are content shipping broken products and never fixing them, maybe patch it once or twice.
Like I said, I hate that. My personal experience is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Game Freak. What the fuck? You released half the game on the cartridge. If I don't have internet access, I lose half the game. I don't get the actual soundtrack of the game. I get a shitty MIDI version of it. Making it ultimately an inferior product to a game that's over a decade old. If you have, for example, Pokemon Platinum, you don't need Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. It's an inferior product. Things like that. Or what would be, Ubisoft is like one of those that does it. Remember the Star Wars game that they released that was so broken that they needed to release an update, which means that people that already finished it had to completely restart the game? Incredibly smart.
And move on. Lords of the Fallen feels like a genuine passion project, something that they never wanted to give up on. and one that keeps getting better every time that you come back. In most cases, this game would have been long abandoned by now, but Hexworks and CI Games never.
Yeah, as usual, I said in the beginning, nowadays it's release unfinished game. It's not well received because it is unfinished. Drop it, next game. Of course that ruins the industry. Why would it not ruin the industry? If I constantly get half-assed games, it just makes sense.
Or gave up on it. They really wanted to make sure that this game would work. And honestly, they did it. They pulled it off. There's something in that not wanting to give up. There's something in that iterative process where you're trying to continue to improve. And we're talking about a game that failed once already, that had multiple reboot attempts, finally put out another one, and here they are improving that one. And I have a lot of respect in that, because not only does it mean a lot to the players that purchased the game, but it also means a lot to me as a player who hasn't, or, well, I mean, I have now, but it also means a lot to me as a player that's now looking forward to what they work on next, because you're building a reputation. I've been having a blast with it. Sponsored video, YouTuber glazing, I know. No, I've seriously been having.
So we now have two cases of a game being completely redeemed. Meaning, No Man's Sky and Lords of the Fallen. Those two games now. If I want to bring up how to perfectly redeem a game, or somewhat perfectly redeem a game, these two I will bring up.
Having a lot of fun with it. Because I'm happy I didn't play this game when it first came out, because I would have gone in with the wrong expectations. I would have been disappointed by the performance. But now, I'm just having a really good time, relaxing and playing something a bit more casual, something a bit more polished, a hack and slash take on the Souls genre. I'm digging it. Share the game with your friends for free. That I didn't see coming. I thought that was something that was reserved just for Hazelight. And this is the last genre that I would expect to see something like that in, because it's genius, plain and simple. Not only are you going to get people that are going to want to buy the game so they can play with a friend for free, but you're also going to have that friend that's likely to buy the game if they end up liking it. That's how this whole thing works. Keep in mind, I've brought this up before. I said that while everybody else wants to increase their prices, the ones that are going to succeed are the ones that are going to undercut them. This is undercutting them. Fair pricing, this is how you build loyalty. This is how you get players to trust you. I like it. You know, I've had my eye on CI Games and Hexworks for a minute. Their CEO of CI Games has been very active over the past few years, getting very
Base CEO. I haven't seen that in a while.
Very involved in discussions, saying some things about the industry, to say the least. And I never imagined that they would go to this length to make good on a promise. They came forward saying that they want to be a player-first studio. And from my perspective, at least right now, that looks like exactly what they're doing. And they're going to do it regardless of whether or not it pisses off the industry, which it is. One of the biggest complaints that I've seen for modern gaming, bigger than bugs, performance issues, hell, even bigger than monetization lately, is something that a lot of people don't even feel comfortable saying out loud. The creeping presence of...
I'm saying it out loud. Identity politics. Or to No Man's Sky. Yeah, okay, yeah. Now I know what you're saying. Yeah. Lords of the Fallen did the exact same thing. Game was as on release. Completely fixed now. I'm gonna say it. Okay, to summarize what he's gonna say. Wokeness.
Personal ideology in games, political messaging, performative social narratives, studio agendas that feel more concerned with social media engagement than they do with actually making a game that players want to play. It's not just about...
So true. So true. So true. Like, imagine, there was this one, which is really funny, there was this one Halo developer who says he does not like guns, but because Halo's science fiction, it's fine. And I'm like, why? What are you doing working for a shooter? What are you doing? Why are you working for a company that makes first-person shooters? The fuck do you mean? Why are you there? The funny part is, like, they want to tailor to, like, a small minority. Just a small minority that doesn't even buy the games. You want to cater to the minority that would buy Dustborn. If you know, you know. Horde game financed by the European Union. Thank you, government. My taxes go there.
About what's in these games, it's the overwhelming feeling that you're not even allowed to question any of it. That raising your hand to say, hey, maybe this doesn't belong here, will get you labeled, dismissed, or dogpiled by bad faith actors that think any disagreement is hate speech. And let's be real, very few developers are willing to be even open to this conversation. It's become the ever-present elephant in the room. Most studios, writers, commentators, even players are so afraid of even upsetting the status quo that they...
I'm not afraid of upsetting these morons. I just want to play games. And if you do want to bring in real-life politics, do it in a context where it makes sense. This has nothing to do. This does not belong in a game, in a medieval game. It does not. What are you doing?
They've been defaulted into silent complicity more than anything else. Even when these games are getting worse, even when the sales are going down, even when the fans are slowly walking away, everybody just stays silent. But CI Games did the opposite. Sometime last year, Marek Tominsky, the CEO of CI Games, the guy behind Lords of the Fallen's Resurrection, made a stand. He said that he was going to put players first, not just as a slogan, but as a business strategy, a design philosophy, a studio culture. And he didn't just say it, he followed through. They started watching Twitch streams and YouTube videos, reading Reddit.
Which of the following do you trust most for gaming news and info? Traditional media? Nope. Influencers? Nope. Friends and communities? That's the second highest and none of the above. Yeah, you cannot trust traditional media because what does he mean? Does he mean game journos in this case? Fun fact, the world is healing. Polygon is dead, by the way, if you didn't know. Polygon is dead. That gaming news, whatever, game journalists, they're dead. They're cooked. They fired everyone. Or they were bought and fired. And where everyone was fired. And they all fled to Blue Sky. Please don't hire these people. Thank you.
Threads, polling people on Twitter, and actually listening. But more important than that, responding. Earlier this year, Merrick had posted a poll asking what players wanted when it came to character creation.
Where will you check first for news on upcoming game aside from X? Trusted YouTube channel? Makes sense. Trusted gaming media? Definitely not. Developers' social media? Yeah, makes sense. Online communities, friend also makes sense. Okay. Polygon died. Rip Bozo. Yeah, Rip Bozo. They fired most of the people working there. If you as a company hire these people, you're kind of cooked. Just saying.
The industry standard at this point has been body type A and body type.
Should lead video game characters by widely considered attractive aspirational by the vast majority of players? Yes? No? I don't care. Look at that. Yes. 84% say yes. Characters should be attractive. You should be able to make characters attractive characters that have attractive characters. There was a study recently that was released where female gamers were asked what they prefer on characters. The overwhelming majority said attractive characters. Men, women, does not matter. Attractive characters. So the women, even the vast majority of female gamers say, we want attractive characters. So I don't understand where the idea comes from that you should have, that we need unattractive characters, when even most women say they want attractive characters. And it makes sense. You want to look at characters that are attractive, right? You want to create a character that's attractive, right? Like, I don't get the idea of, like, somebody saying, like, and I do think women fall mostly into this category. It can be men. But, like, assuming you are an ugly girl, why would you want to play an ugly woman? Is it like you want to be seen or something? Or, like, understood? Like, it doesn't make sense in my head. Like, if you're an ugly person, why would you not want to play an attractive character? It does not make sense. Maybe self-insertion? I don't know. Like, if I'm fat, I don't want to create a fat character, the character creator. I'm gonna create the most handsome Chad I have ever seen that ever graced the face of the earth.
Type B, a vague, impersonal system that nobody really asked for, and it just kind of appeared one day forced upon us. So he asked the players directly, in a medieval fantasy action RPG experience, would you prefer between these two?
Body type A, body type B, 8.4%. Male or female, 88.4%. None of the above, 3.3%. Ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. 50,000 votes, mostly male or female. And I do not understand the idea of body type A and body type B. Nobody, I know nobody, genuinely, I know nobody that cares of the implementation of this. Not a single person. At least not IRL. Even online. Not a single one. Nobody cares about this.
Body type A and B.
And when people say, oh, it's not a big deal that they changed male or female to body type A, body type B, and I'm like, oh, so if it's not a big deal, why change it?
Male and female or something else. Nearly 50,000 people voted. 88% of them said male and female. CI Games went and made the change just like that. They reverted it. Now, whether you agree or disagree with that decision, that's not really the point here. The point is they asked their audience directly. They got an overwhelming response. They acted on it. This is what listening looks like. After making these changes, Merrick would then take things further. He would then take a stance and talk about how studios need to separate their personal politics from commercial products, saying that the key is to separate social and political views of studio employees from creative decisions that drive each project. The editorial
and remember, the Veilguard's writing and story and dialogue, not even the gameplay. The gameplay was just mid. That game was so ass that the entire writing team was fired, laid off. And I agree, you don't deliver on the product you were supposed to deliver on, you gotta go.
Has to be independent of such views and serve the best it can the vast majority of players. Of course, the media did not take that well, and headlines popped up everywhere. Lords of the Fallen dev is wrong about politics.
Wrong about politics, and Elden Ring proves it. How does Elden Ring prove that? Also, Gore's retirement. Why must you remind me? How does that even make sense?
And Elden Ring proves it. Lords of the Fallen publisher
embraces fear of the DEI boogeyman. There is no DEI boogeyman. DEI destroys games. Rejected. And anything it comes in contact with, to be fair. Says it will not include any social or political agendas in its games based.
Embraces the fear of DEI boogeyman. Lords of the Fallen.
Also, what they say here, Psy Games apparently believes that inclusive games are at a risk of failure, because they are. Do I need to remind you of Concord? Do I need to remind you of Dustborn? Do I need to remind you of Dragon Age the Failguard? Do I need to remind you of, I could probably pull out more shitty games that did not do that well. Do I need to remind you of what they did with Skullgirls? It does fail. Do I need to remind you of anything that has a connection to Sweet Baby Inc? I don't think so.
Lords of the Fallen publisher embraces the fear of DEI boogeyman. Lords of the Fallen publisher uses anti-DEI as marketing meme. It's the usual song and dance. Any pushback against any social, political, or identity-first design is framed as evil, as ignorance, as bigotry, even when the vast majority of players agree with it. Even when...
Chat, if that's what makes me a bigot, I'm a proud bigot. Truly.
When it's just a studio doing what any other business in the world would do and what they're supposed to be doing, which is serve their customers. I reached out to Merrick directly to ask him about this, about the backlash, and about why he felt it was important to open the door to these kind of conversations when the industry has slammed it shut. He told me, "We want to serve our communities the best we can. Last year, we made it a part of our strategy is being player first. That's not just a slogan, it's the full reality that we're committed to. We don't allow any DEI bullshit to impact our products. We were wrong about
Based. Holy based. Goddamn.
body types A and B. We fixed that very quickly to male and female when it became clear that that's what the vast majority want. The games industry was hijacked at some point by activists. It ended up with a lot of false assumptions about this so-called modern audience.
There is no modern audience. They want to create a modern audience because there's eventually a point where so many games and game developers are doing this that you cannot avoid it to begin with. And so you become the modern audience, because what else are you going to do? Not play video games?
I follow a very simple old concept. Make products your customers want. What's wrong or controversial with that? Now, regardless of where you fall on these issues, I still think this is the key. The fact that something so basic, make what people want, has become so controversial tells you everything that you need to know about the state of this industry today. The audience feels this overwhelming pressure being forced into almost every media product that they consume. It's not something that they asked for, and when they complain about it or they try to ask a question, they are treated like social dissidents. These people are paying for these things. It's not that these things can't exist in games, it's just that you can't expect people to want it or like it. And if you want your customers to be happy, you have to give them what they want, not what you want.
And the vast majority does not like it. Just the truth. People don't care about that. The vast majority does not like it. It is what it is.
When I asked Merrick about the growing divide between players and developers, or just the industry in general, and why so few studios seem willing to even ask any hard questions, he said something that really stuck with me. I think most of them are asking, but too often they ask selectively, avoiding questions they don't want to ask. That quote cuts to the heart of the issue. Sure, we see plenty of studios pretending to engage, collecting feedback, sending out surveys, running community Q&A, but it's all incredibly curated, selective, sanitized. They'll ask what weapon balance feels like or what feature you want in the next patch, but they won't ask why players are feeling alienated, why character designs are getting roasted, or why games like Concord flop while games like Marvel Rivals take off. In a lot of cases, the industry simply isn't asking questions.
In the case of Marvel Rivals, gooning. Every skin, male or female, is... I don't need to say it.
They don't want the answers to. Continuing my conversation with Merrick, I asked about what else they've been doing to improve their games and leverage player feedback, and he went on to say that CI Games recently started working with the same playtesting agency that helped FromSoft with Elden Ring. And while they're not designing by committee, they are validating their design through player feedback. Now, that might seem obvious, but that's not how a lot of studios work anymore. Finally, I had asked him if this kind of transparency and player-first focus was just a phase or whether it was something they were going to be committed to long-term. He responded saying, "We made a promise to be player-first and we will stay fully committed to that. But the key focus will always remain on making the best games we can." Now, look, I'm not going to say that CI Games or Hexwork are perfect. I'm not saying that every studio needs to agree with every player. Hell, I'm not even saying that every studio or publisher should follow exactly what CI Games and Hexworks are doing. But if we want this industry to get better, to make games better, to rebuild trust that's been bleeding for years now, we need more of this. More honesty, more questions, more humility, more studios that are willing to say, we were wrong and change course. More studios willing to listen. CI Games and Hex.
More studios willing to not bow to a minority mob that does not buy your games. It is not that hard to understand that if you cater to an audience that does not exist, or an audience that does not play your game is going to fail.
Hexworks aren't just patching a game, they're patching a broken relationship between players, publishers, and studios. And Lords of the Fallen and its 2.0 patch is just the first step down that path. A move towards more transparency and real discussions is the only way that we're going to get better games. It's how this industry heals over time, because it does need to heal. It's been struggling for a while, and I'm sure this is going to lead to some tough conversations, and people's feelings are bound to get hurt, but it's the only way for things to get better. It's the only way for us to get better games and for some of these people to be able to keep their jobs in some cases. I think
it has to happen because in order you create horrible games if you're scared of hurting anybody's feelings. It does not work if you're continuing to avoid topics. Like villains that are just evil, for example, to a certain degree. Oh, they might be a mass deleter in that game, but hey, at least they're not transphobic. Like, what the fuck are these villains? Like, as if a villain, and those villains do exist, as if a villain should care about such a thing. Like, they're evil.
far too often people want to shy away from these kind of topics, and because of that, they then just dismiss whatever the other side has to say. When you got two walls that are screaming at each other and neither one of them want to move, well, nothing can happen. Can't have that. It's great to see how much Lords of the Fallen has improved. I love seeing a studio genuinely listening to their audience, implementing that feedback, iterating on that design, and improving their game. That's exactly what they've done. 2 years this game has been out. Like I said before, in most cases, it would have been long abandoned. They never gave up on it. It has been an absolute joy to play. I recommend it to everybody that's been watching this video. And while CI Games and Hexworks aren't going to get it right every single time, no studio ever does, at least these guys are trying. And from my perspective, that's more than we get in a lot of cases. So I appreciate that. I want to give a huge thanks to you guys, the viewer, because if it wasn't for you, something like this wouldn't even be possible. This kind of collaboration wouldn't be possible. I want to give a huge thanks to Lords of the Fallen for sponsoring this video. Make sure that you guys go and check out the 2.0 update. It will be live by the time this video has gone up. I've been playing it. I've been really enjoying it. If you have the game, re-download it. Invite one of your friends to come and play it for free. If you don't have the game, they have wildly deep discounts across the board. PlayStation Store, Xbox, Epic Game Store, Steam, all of them. Up to 70% off on almost every single platform. Go check it out. Go give the game a buy. It's definitely worth your money. And yeah, that's all I have.
That was a good video. That was really good. I agree. Based 100%, they did in fact pull a No Man's Sky and discarded DEI. I guess the discarding DEI does mean you win. It does in fact mean you win.